If you are here, it is because you want to have an evolved mind, achieve a connection with your heart, and evolve into the special person you want to be. Have you ever had an argument where it seemed like the more you spoke, the less the other person understood? Have you noticed how sometimes words can be powerful weapons, not necessarily to build bridges, but to create even more distance? Today's video is for you if you want to transform your relationships, whether at work, with friends, or with family. We're going to talk about a subtle but incredibly powerful element: silence. And I'm not talking about the silence of avoiding communication, but using silence consciously, as a tool for connection and understanding. Silence, often underestimated, can be an ally in interpersonal relationships. It provides a pause, an opportunity to reflect, and even to choose the right words so they add value instead of creating distance. Throughout this video, we will explore how silence can prevent conflicts, promote harmony, and most importantly, strengthen our connections with others. Imagine a relationship where you feel more understood and where tensions are minimized. That's what we want to bring to you: a new perspective on the power of silence. This video isn't just a reflection, but a practical guide on how to use silence strategically and consciously. Because often, speaking less and listening more are the necessary steps to transforming our relationships and building more harmonious communication. Get ready to discover the role of silence in creating meaningful connections and learn how it can be an ally in avoiding unnecessary conflicts. Together, let's uncover the power of a pause, the value of a breath before responding, and the magic of silence as a facilitator of understanding and empathy. How silence can prevent conflicts. When we think about avoiding conflicts, it's common to believe that we need the right words or quick responses. However, silence can actually be the most effective tool for neutralizing a tense situation and avoiding unnecessary misunderstandings. Instead of intensifying an argument, it can serve as a point of balance, diffusing impulsive reactions and creating an atmosphere of calm. A common situation: you receive unexpected criticism from someone, whether at work or at home. The initial instinct might be to defend yourself quickly or even retaliate. However, by pausing and choosing silence, you allow the other person to express their point of view without interruption. This doesn't mean that you are accepting or agreeing with what was said. It simply means you are taking a moment to process the criticism and understand where it's coming from. By adopting silence in this context, you avoid an immediate conflict and, at the same time, show that you are willing to listen. Silence is also a powerful tool in situations where emotions are running high. When we feel anger, anxiety, or frustration, our words can become charged with these emotions, making misunderstandings more likely. In these moments, silence creates a necessary pause for us to regain control over our emotions and then respond in a calmer and more measured way. It gives us the chance to reflect on what we really want to express, without letting the heat of the moment lead us to say something we might regret. Moreover, silence allows body language to take center stage. Often, what we don't say with words is communicated through our gaze, facial expressions, and even our posture. When we are silent, we can pay closer attention to the other person's nonverbal signals and adjust our own body language to show that we are open to dialogue. This kind of silent communication can convey a message of empathy and respect, which helps diffuse potential conflicts and paves the way for a more constructive conversation. Another important aspect is that silence helps create a space for mutual reflection. In a heated argument, the pause can give both parties time to reflect on what was said and recognize the true source of their emotions. Often, this source is tied to internal issues that have little to do with the person we're arguing with. This moment of reflection allows both sides to react more consciously and, thus, avoid turning a small misunderstanding into a larger conflict. Silence offers an opportunity for adjustment. It creates an atmosphere where the other person also feels comfortable stopping and thinking before responding. It's like a dance where both participants have the chance to find the right rhythm, ensuring that communication becomes a balanced exchange, rather than a competition to see who has the last word. Using silence as a strategy to avoid conflicts is an exercise in self-control and wisdom. It teaches us that often, the best way to respond is simply to stop, observe, and allow the conversation to flow with more calm and understanding. By incorporating this practice, We are investing in more harmonious relationships and communication that goes beyond words, prioritizing peace and understanding. When silence can be harmful. Although silence can be a powerful tool to avoid conflicts and promote harmony, it is not always the right answer. There are times when silence, instead of bringing peace, creates distance and misunderstanding, turning into a barrier in relationships. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent is a delicate balance that requires sensitivity and attention to the needs of the other person. One of the biggest risks of silence is when it is used as a way to escape difficult conversations. In friendships, family relationships, or even professional ones, it's common to avoid certain topics that make us uncomfortable or require vulnerability. However, by choosing silence instead of open dialogue, we may be allowing a problem to grow that, sooner or later, will affect the relationship. For example, if something bothers you about a friend's behavior, choosing silence may avoid an immediate confrontation, but over time, the discomfort grows and impacts the quality of the friendship. This kind of silence is also harmful in intimate relationships. When one partner avoids opening up about important issues, the other may feel neglected or ignored. In this case, silence creates a sense of distance, which can weaken trust and the bond between the individuals involved. In such situations, silence becomes a block, preventing feelings and expectations from being understood and addressed. Another context where silence can have negative consequences is the workplace. Imagine a colleague who, to avoid discussions or conflicts, chooses silence, not giving necessary feedback or not expressing their opinion during important moments. This kind of silence can be interpreted as a lack of interest or even disapproval, which may lead to misunderstandings and harm collaboration within the team. In these cases, clear and respectful dialogue is essential to ensure everyone is on the same page and that the work environment remains productive and healthy. It is important to remember that prolonged silence can be interpreted in different ways. In certain situations, it may be seen as indifference, rejection, or even a way of punishing the other person. This type of silence, known as the silent treatment, tends to increase resentment and create an emotional barrier, making future reconciliation more difficult. Therefore, it is crucial to differentiate between strategic silence and silence that hurts and creates distance. Balancing silence and communication is an exercise that requires self-awareness and empathy. Understanding when silence helps and when it harms is fundamental to building healthy and transparent relationships. It's not always easy to find this balance, but the willingness to communicate openly when necessary is the first step toward building a relationship based on trust and mutual understanding. Practical tips for using silence consciously. Knowing when and how to use silence strategically can transform our relationships and our way of communicating. Below, we share some practical tips that will help you use silence consciously, promoting empathy, clarity, and harmony in your interactions. Practice conscious pausing before responding. The first tip is simple but powerful. When you're in a conversation, especially if it involves a sensitive topic, pause before responding. Take a deep breath and mentally count to 3 before speaking or giving your opinion. This small interval helps control the impulse to react without thinking and allows you to process what was said. This pause prevents you from being carried away by the emotions of the moment and ensures that your response is more thoughtful and effective. Reserve moments for personal reflection. Taking a few minutes each day for moments of silence can increase your emotional awareness and help strengthen your relationships. A good exercise is to take 5 to 10 minutes daily to reflect on how silence impacted your interactions that day. Ask yourself, were there moments when speaking less would have been more productive? Where did silence help me understand the other person better? This simple habit can be incorporated at the end of the day, while you relax or prepare to sleep. Over time, you will notice that these moments of introspection increase your emotional clarity, allowing your interactions to be more conscious and genuine. Develop active and empathetic listening. One of the main benefits of silence is that it encourages active listening. Active listening means hearing not only the words but also the emotions and intentions of the other person. Instead of merely waiting for your turn to speak, focus on truly understanding what the person is trying to communicate. Practice silence in this context. Instead of responding immediately, show that you're present with a thoughtful look, a nod, or an expression that conveys interest. This not only improves the connection but also allows the other person to feel heard and understood. Silent reflection exercise. A simple but powerful practice to improve your communication skills through silence is to spend 5 minutes observing a difficult conversation, imagining how you would react if you were in the shoes of the people involved. Picture yourself in silence, reflecting on how you would respond and what stance you would take to create a more harmonious environment. This exercise, done regularly, helps you identify your own reaction patterns and work on transforming them. Use silence in important conversations. In more serious or complex conversations, silence can be used to avoid interruptions and ensure that both parties understand what is being said. During these conversations, practice small pauses after each important sentence, allowing the words to resonate and creating a calmer, more respectful rhythm. When you pause, you're signaling that you value what has been said, giving the other person time to process the information and feel more comfortable opening up. Learn to distinguish when silence is helpful and when it's better to speak. Silence is a tool, but like any tool, it needs to be used at the right time. In situations where dialogue is necessary, avoid prolonged silence that could be interpreted as coldness or indifference. One way to prevent silence from causing misunderstandings is to communicate clearly and respectfully. When needed, use expressions like, "I need a moment to think," or "I'd like to reflect before responding," so that the other person understands that your silence is a conscious choice, not a lack of interest. Strengthen the habit of listening to yourself. Practicing silence also helps strengthen the connection with ourselves. Take moments throughout the day to listen to your own thoughts and feelings before expressing them. Ask yourself, what do I really want to say? What am I feeling right now? This practice increases your self-awareness and ensures that when you speak, your words are sincere and well thought out. These practical tips are ways to transform silence into a powerful ally for improving communication and avoiding unnecessary conflicts. By incorporating these practices into your daily life, you will equip yourself to interact in a calmer, more empathetic, and reflective manner, strengthening bonds and increasing understanding in your relationships. Lasting benefits of silence in relationships. When we consciously integrate silence into our lives, it becomes more than just a technique. It turns into a communication style and a life approach that transforms our relationships and well-being. The lasting benefits of silence in interpersonal relationships go beyond the absence of conflict. It builds a foundation of respect, understanding, and trust, creating a space where everyone feels safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or misunderstandings. One of the most noticeable changes that the use of silence brings to relationships is the strengthening of empathy. When we dedicate ourselves to listening attentively, without the need to respond immediately, we develop a deeper understanding of the perspectives and emotions of others. This kind of active and compassionate listening allows each individual to feel valued and heard, and this is essential for strengthening any bond, whether personal or professional. Another important benefit is the ability to resolve conflicts more effectively and with less strain. Instead of entering into an emotionally charged and defensive argument, silence helps us remain calm and evaluate the situation clearly. This reduces the risk of hurt feelings and facilitates the search for constructive solutions that benefit everyone involved. Over time, this approach makes interactions more harmonious and prevents the buildup of resentment, as both parties learn to communicate their needs and respect each other's space. Furthermore, silence strengthens our self-confidence. When we learn to feel comfortable with silence, we realize that we don't need to fill every moment with words to feel connected or to be accepted. This creates a sense of emotional independence, where we feel secure enough to respect our own boundaries and those of others. To conclude this video, we invite you to apply these practices of conscious silence in your own relationships. Take moments to practice pausing before responding, to listen actively, and to reflect before speaking in delicate situations. Try gradually introducing these changes and observe how they affect your interactions. Remember, silence is not an emptiness but a space of possibilities where empathy and understanding can flourish. When silence becomes an intentional presence, it creates deeper, more genuine, and lasting relationships. And in a world where communication is constantly evolving, this simple practice may be the transformative element needed to build healthier and more satisfying connections. We hope this video has offered you a new perspective on the power of silence. Start exploring this tool in your daily life and see how, little by little, your relationships and your own well-being can transform. Remember, silence can be the strongest bridge to truly meaningful communication. Sign up and leave your message so we can help each other. You've come here and you've certainly learned. A little every day will make you connect with your heart and evolve your mind. Until next time.